Hey everyone, it's July 7th, about a week since my last update, and I wanted to share something with you regarding my tomato plants here. I actually have, for the first time, tried what's called a Litchi tomato, and I have not yet grown these before, and I had read about them, saw them, thought they were actually very interesting, mostly because of the fact that they are not actually tomatoes, as I understand. I think it's more of a berry or something of that sort. But the neat thing about these lychee tomatoes is that they grow little mini thorns, and I think they're too small. I probably won't be able to get a shot here. You can almost see there a little bit, again out of focus, not showing that all that well, but they have little mini thorns on them that would help protect them against people like me who come in and steal the tomatoes. But at this point, I'm having some difficulty with it. It's not growing very well. In fact, if I can try to grab a little leaf here, you can see that it's almost stopped growing. There's a division right there at the top of the plant, and one branch has sent up its leaves, and the other branch has sent up its leaves, and it's it's stopped growing. So I did notice down here though at the bottom there is some new growth starting from one of those little offshoots, and hopefully this new growth will eventually put out tomatoes. But the plant is only about a foot tall at this point compared to my other plants that I have, which are, like I said last video, about 7 feet. So I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if it's lychee tomatoes in general have this issue. But I think I just had some bad luck here with this plant, and unfortunately it hasn't really grown and is nowhere even producing fruit. So hopefully the other plants, and I can kind of pan around, I have had some pretty good success here with some of these tomatoes. You can see here there's numerous clusters of tomatoes growing, and so I don't think it's the soil. I don't think it's the heat or anything like that. There seems to be plenty of tomatoes growing, and hopefully this lychee tomato plant will come up and do a little bit better for me. I also wanted to share with you something that I do to my tomato plants. It's actually called suckering. Suckering is the suckering are the elbows that come in, and it's almost like grows out of the armpit, so to speak, of the tomato plant itself. And I can kind of show you that as I pan up here. I'll try to find one. But suckering in general is something I do to my tomato plants. Let me see if I can find one here. I had a couple lined up before I started shooting, but you can see here, right in this, right in the middle here of this tomato plant. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. So you can see here, right in the middle of this arm is some new growth here, and this new growth will actually start and come and grow into an actual tomato plant. It'll just take time, and as a result of that time, what I want to do is, rather than have the tomato plant itself spend energy growing these suckers out into what would eventually become almost an entire tomato plant, I pinch off the little growth here, allowing the rest of the tomato plant to produce fruit. And rather than have the tomato plant spend its time and energy growing these what are called suckers into plants, so rather than spend the energy growing the foliage, I'd rather have the tomato plant itself spend the time growing fruits and putting out more fruits, which as you can see it's doing. So I think I have some more. Eventually what I do is I typically go through my tomato plants every week, or really every opportunity I can, to make sure that I get these suckers out of there. They tend to, here's another one, they tend to come about very quickly. So on a regular basis I tend to sucker these. Now some of the suckers get pretty big eventually, and as a result of that you may not be able to pick them off. You may have to take a knife and kind of cut it away, because you don't really want to damage the tomato plant. I can kind of show you some of the ones that get bigger here that I have used the knife and cut off. So that's just something I wanted to share. What does suckering do? Like I said, it typically allows the plant to grow a little bit taller and produce more fruit more quickly. So if you leave those suckers on, those suckers would eventually grow into very lengthy arms, or very lengthy leaves, and eventually they would put out flowers and after that fruit. But rather than, like I said, have the plant spend the time putting the energy into that growth, I would rather have that energy be spent producing fruit. So by pinching those suckers or removing those suckers off the plant, you actually get a little bit more growth. The downside is I think the plants may grow a little bit taller, and when you have a taller plant, you obviously need support for that plant. And so as you can see, some of my plants are very tall. So as I spoke about last time, I have provided a solution where I've given my plants a little bit more support growing up. And speaking of that, I mentioned on my video last week about some of these tomato plants I have over on this additional row possibly toppling over. And as you can see, that happened since the last week. So there's a little, I don't know if you can see it all that well, a little bend in the plant as it comes over that support. And then down here, the plant is just sort of hanging on the ground. And so I know that that's not the best for the plant, and I knew that was going to happen. I had concerns. I spoke about it last time, and it looks like it's gone ahead and happened. So the idea of using these tomato cages on top with this zip tie solution to provide more support is really working. I'm happy with that. I think a lot of these tomato plants at this point would be toppling over at this point if I didn't have that in place. So I really like that. I'm definitely going to do this next year for all of the plants to prevent them from toppling over, so I can get more growth, more fruits, and just a better harvest overall. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is over here with my berry patch. Last week it was actually doing very well, and this week, as you can see, it has toppled over. So I definitely am getting a good number of fruits. You can kind of see them down in there. The downside is this has almost knocked over all of my okra as well, and okra was one of the main things that I wanted to grow this year, kind of most important to me. So as a result of these berry plants, it looks like they'll need staking. Without the staking, it looks like this happens. So I don't know if I just had bad luck here or what, but as a result of this, I may be pulling these just to give okra the room in the back, and then go ahead and planting some beans or other types of things here. I'm not too happy with this. I was really hoping for a berry harvest, and even though these fruits are green and I could probably leave these plants just sitting here, I really want the okra to grow up and to succeed. So as a result of that, I probably will be pulling these plants today. Not too happy with that, but kind of a lesson learned. Those are the things that you learn in the garden. Things don't always go your way, and this is one of the things that I've learned for next year. So when I plant my berry plants again next year, I need to give them a little bit more room, it looks like, and also probably some stakes or some tomato cages or something to help support them as they grow up. And definitely something that I need to be aware of. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention, again, these squash are doing very well. Lots of flowers, not a whole lot of female flowers at this point, but you can see definitely healthy. No cucumber beetles at this point. Again, big success there, but you can see they are doing very well. Nice healthy leaves and healthy everything at this point. But there was a tomato plant that I had over here at the edge of the row, and this squash plant has simply pushed it out of the way. It said this is my territory, and it's gone ahead and just knocked it out of the way. So you can see it's bent over, it's on its side, but it's still, it's got flowers, it's still producing new growth. So I'll probably just leave it. I think this is a green zebra if I'm not mistaken, so I'll probably just leave it here. They're not going to get too big as it is, and since it's already producing flowers, I'll see if I can get some fruits and enjoy some of the harvest. There's no reason to pull the plant. It's not in anybody's way. I don't mind stepping over it in the rows here, and I'll probably just leave it there. So the other thing, I think I had one squash if I'm not mistaken that was starting to grow. I'll see if I can find it here. There we go. Down in the bottom there. This is the one that I actually manually pollinated last week. It looks like it's starting to grow as a result of that pollination, and so I'll probably be harvesting that soon. I could harvest it now if I really wanted to as a baby squash. They're nice and tender and juicy, but this is actually the Lebanese variety, Lebanese squash, so I'll be probably harvesting that I would say maybe in 2 days or a week. I shouldn't say a week, maybe 5 days, but I'll let it grow a little bit bigger. I do like the small squash. They're nice and tender. I like to grill them, add them to things, but very happy. A lot of, you can see down here, a lot of growth, a lot of smaller squash. I don't know if those have been pollinated yet, but the good news is that You know, I can see one through there. The good news is that they are growing. Squash is coming in, and again, most importantly, no cucumber beetles, which is one of the main things, benefits of what I was really going for. And the other thing, as I come across here, is the eggplant, and the eggplant is doing well. Some of those flowers that I pointed out last week have shot up and opened up a little bit. So again, I'm not sure if those become tomato. I shouldn't say tomato, if they become eggplant or not. But again, flowers, I would assume that means good growth and hopefully moving on from there. Otherwise, I don't have a whole lot of updates. Again, a good week in general for a lot of my plants. It's still very wet here. A lot of things going on. Tomatoes are continuing to grow up. There's a couple that are almost shooting up outside of these tomato cages that I had inverted on top. So a lot of growth. So, but that's it. That's it for this week. If anyone has any ideas, or if anyone has grown lychee tomatoes in the past, I would appreciate it if you could, give me a post, send me a message, give me a comment, and let me know either what I did wrong, or if there's something that, I either should have done better, or just, maybe I was unlucky with that. So if you have any ideas, suggestions, or have grown lychee tomatoes in the past, let me know how that went, and hopefully I can do better next year. I'm not sure if I'll try them again. I'd love to have that space for an additional tomato plant, but we'll see how that happens. And like I said, if you have any updates, let me know. This is it. Just wanted to give a quick update on that lychee tomato plant and some of the other happenings in the garden over the last week. So thank you all for watching.